Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 515 based on novel. So let's start. There were more than 100,000 heads behind Wang Lin. The miserable howls coming from those heads combined with the sounds of slaughter on the battlefield. The life and death formation is done and the karma formation is broken. I'll form another karma formation. Wang Lin, still sitting on the Emperor Furnace, waved his right hand. 50,000 of the heads formed a giant vortex before him. The vortex suddenly began to rotate and howls echoed. Soon, it stopped rotating and the karma formation appeared. Eyes open is true, closed eyes is false. True and false now complete, true and false formation. Wang Lin's voice was erratic, and as he spoke, the 50,000 remaining heads behind him flew out to form another large vortex. This vortex was in a state between an illusion and real, as if it didn't belong in this world. It was twisted and blurry, and its rotations created loud rumbles. The aura of the true and false essence spread out. In a moment, the vortex was formed and the true and false formation took shape. With a serious expression, Wang Lin pointed at the life and death vortex. At this moment, the three wheels representing life and death, true and false, and karma gathered. They began to overlap before Wang Lin. When they overlapped, the formation formed by the three great ethereal essences was formed. I need 10,000 fellow cultivators to willingly give up their origin souls and become the formation spirits of my three essence wheels. Change the track of the heavens, disrupt the operation of the heavens, and kill all the outer realm cultivators here. Wang Lin's expression was serious. His three-wheel formation needed 10,000 origin souls to become the formation spirit so it could operate at full strength. As his words echoed, 10,000 inner realm cultivators sat down with no hesitation. Their origin souls flew out and flew toward Wang Lin's three overlapping essence wheels. In an instant, these 10,000 origin souls arrived. The three wheels began to roar and rotate. Then the three fused into one and began to rapidly expand. It soon grew into a giant wheel as tall as heaven itself. This wheel gave off life and death, true and false, and karma essence. When it rotated, the trajectory of the world would change. When it moved, the sky would collapse. This was the strongest of Wang Lin's self-created spells, and he wouldn't be able to use it again in his life. This was a fusion of his three great ethereal essences, and there would not be a second one. The 10,000 origin souls were below the giant wheel and became the formation spirits that pushed the wheel. They roared as they pushed the giant wheel toward the hundreds of thousands of outer realm cultivators. They rotated the wheel once. The heavens and earth shattered. The planets that formed the planet formation began to collapse. All vitality seemed to have been drawn out from space, and there was an absence of aura. Nearly 30% of all the hundreds of thousands of outer realm cultivators' bodies collapsed and died. After just one turn, the 10,000 origin souls that had pushed the wheel became dim. They had no strength to push it a second time. Just at this moment, the inner realm cultivators all retreated and sat down. Even Mu Bingmai did this. When they sat down, their origin souls all flew out and flew toward the huge wheel. Together, they pushed the wheel that was like fate itself to rotate once more. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the star system. The giant wheel rotated once more, and at this instant, another 30% of the outer realm cultivators collapsed and died to this indescribable force. Fresh blood formed a river that drifted through the star system. The remaining outer realm cultivators felt extreme fear. They went crazy and their minds trembled from fear due to the sudden change. At this moment, they all fled in different directions. Facing a power they didn't understand, they didn't dare to resist and weren't able to resist. Even the two arcane void cultivators battling Qing Lin and company were terrified to the limit. The old woman and the last celestial imperial concubine desperately retreated and finally broke free from Qing Lin and company. Their cultivation methods weren't normal, so they instantly escaped far. Facing these scattering outer realm cultivators, even the tens of thousands of origin souls of the inner realm didn't have the power to turn this giant wheel a third time. Qing Lin closed his eyes and his origin soul flew out. As a third-step cultivator and the Rain Celestial Realm's Celestial Emperor, his origin soul's strength was shocking. His origin soul turned into a giant and he stepped toward the wheel and mercilessly pushed. At the same time, Master Hong Shan and the woman in purple from the summoned river closed their eyes and their origin souls flew out. In the distance, Qing Shui ignored his injuries and his origin soul also flew out. The 4 giant origin souls pushed the wheel, causing it to rumble and slowly rotate a third time. When the wheel turned a third time, space itself collapsed, a real collapse, and layers of fragments scattered in all directions. Those outer realm cultivators that had escaped far weren't able to escape from this power. All their bodies were destroyed by the wheel's power to change how the world operated. After the wheel turned a third time, there was still some extra force and it slowly turned even more, but it couldn't complete the 4th turn. Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and then his origin soul flew out and he pushed the wheel. With this, the wheel rotated once more and finally completed the 4th turn. This 4th rotation caused the star system to buzz. A strange force fused the origin soul of Wang Lin with all the inner realm cultivators' origin souls to launch a shocking sweep. Under this sweep, all the remaining outer realm cultivators, no matter where they were in all heaven, trembled and their bodies collapsed. The old woman that had tried to kill Wang Lin trembled and disappeared. Her soul was destroyed. Only the last Celestial Imperial was one step ahead. When the power from the wheel swept by, she broke open the void using a life-saving spell she had placed. She entered the rift and barely survived. Everything was over. Outside the wheel, the weakened origin souls all returned to their bodies. The moment they returned, they all coughed out blood and were all seriously injured. Wang Lin also coughed out blood. This wheel formed by the 3 great essences was a great burden even for him, not even his ancient god body could bear it. If it wasn't for the fact that there were tens of thousands of inner realm cultivators, he would not have been able to turn the essence wheel. Similarly, if the other 3 arcane void cultivators hadn't been killed or captured by him, then once they joined forces to resist, he wouldn't have been able to get the inner realm cultivators to help him turn the essence wheel. 3 years. The last 3 years. Wang Lin was exhausted as he stood up from the Emperor Furnace. He took the Emperor Furnace and the essence wheel and flew off into the distance. You all, recover for 3 years. I'll guard everyone. In the 4-star systems, all the invading outer realm cultivators had died to the wheel that used the combined power of all the inner realm cultivators to turn. The only one that escaped was the one Celestial Imperial concubine who had torn open a rift and escaped in panic. There was another person who didn't die. That person was Yun Luo. Yun Luo was the person that feared Wang Lin the most in the outer realm. The divination she saw back then was something she couldn't forget. When Wang Lin's arrow forced the sovereign to retreat, she crushed the life-saving jade her teacher had left her without hesitation. This jade was refined by her teacher during death and was fused with space itself. It could move her from any location back to her clan's altar in the ancient star system. After one use, the jade would shatter. She had kept this jade with her at all times, but even when her avatar died, she didn't use it. Today, she had used it to save her life. As for Wang Lin, at this moment, his aura was unstable. Although he had the ancient god body, he had suffered serious injuries. These injuries came from when he killed the Celestial Imperial concubine, whose name and ranking he didn't even know. They also came from when he used the Emperor Furnace to suppress the old man in black and the other Celestial Imperial concubine. But the worst of it came from fusing the 3 essence wheels into a formation that could change the operation of the world. Forming this wheel had taken almost all his strength, and completing the 4th turn left had him exhausted. Although he was at the mid-stage of Spirit Void, this load still made him extremely exhausted. Right now, his face was pale without blood and he no longer looked as strong as before. It was as if any gentle breeze could knock him over. However, his eyes were still filled with a cold and determined gaze. He hadn't retreated or fallen but said he would guard them for 3 years. Just as Wang Lin spoke, in the distance, Sichu Nan and the thousands of cultivators arrived. They were late, but because they were late, they hadn't participated in the battle and weren't injured. They became the only other guardians in the inner realm beside Wang Lin. He didn't even have time to say a word to Qing Shui or the people he knew before he left. Time was of the essence. Although right now the inner realm was calm, Wang Lin knew this was just the beginning. All of this was just the first step. The real calamity would reach its peak in these next 3 years or after 3 years. That event may completely destroy inner and outer realm. After all, in the view of those people from the immortal astral continent, even if all the people in the cave died, it wouldn't matter. As long as the heavenly Tao was there, sentient beings would appear. Then, after millions of years, countless life forms would appear, and among them there would be third-step cultivators struggling to become stronger. However, Wang Lin wasn't willing to allow such a thing to happen. He had his own plan, a crazy idea. With this plan in mind, he pushed the 3-essence wheel through the star system. Behind him, Mu Bingmai looked at Wang Lin's departing figure and bit her lower lip. There was no complicated look in her eyes anymore, only some confusion. After a long time, she lowered her head and Wang Lin's words from before lingered. Although she is not my woman, she is my son, Wang Ping's mother. Mu Bingmai raised her beautiful head and the confusion in her eyes scattered, replaced with determination. She flew into the air like a beautiful, blue phoenix and chased after Wang Lin. In the distance, Qing Shui's origin soul returned and he opened his eyes. He looked at the woman in pink next to him, who was looking at Wang Lin leaving. He let out a sigh and slowly said, "You already know him, correct?" The woman in pink pondered for a moment and then turned around to look at Qing Shui. She gently nodded. "His life is miserable and he has been lonely so far. If you want to accompany him, then don't hesitate. Sometimes, if you hesitate, you lose what you're after. Don't be like me in the past." A flash of reminiscence appeared in Qing Shui's eyes. The woman in pink lowered her head, and after a moment, she softly asked, "You? Why did you save me?" Qing Shui silently pondered for a long time and then revealed a bitter expression. He shook his head and didn't speak. "Some things you just can't say." If he could say it, he would have done so when he recognized her as his daughter, but he didn't know how to express it. After waiting for a long time, the woman in pink looked at Qing Shui with a complicated expression. She didn't understand and let out a sigh. She turned toward the sky and chased after Wang Lin. Qing Lin stood up in the distance as he looked at the stars and closed his eyes. Perhaps he understood some truth. Like what teacher told me back then. Back then, I couldn't believe it and chose to deceive myself. He is stronger than me. He didn't choose to deceive himself but decided to face it. As Mu Bingmai and the woman in pink flew off, a third ray of light flew off from a planet that hadn't collapsed. There was a woman in that ray of light. Her name was Shizi Feng. After this battle, less than 50,000 people were left. During the first battle in the Cloud Sea, the inner realm had nearly 500,000 cultivators. After 97 years of battle, more than 90% had died. Those remaining were the full power of the inner realm cultivators. The amount of deaths suffered in the near century of war was something the inner realm had never seen before. The inner realm already didn't have many third-step cultivators, and now many had died. Those that remained were all injured. There wasn't enough Joss flames, so it was very difficult for them to recover, and they might never recover to their peak again. After this war, only 19 planets remained in the planet formation. The 50,000 cultivators stayed on these 19 planets to heal. This became the new cultivation world for the inner realm. Under the guard of Sichu Nan and company, everyone picked one of the 19 planets to rest and heal. Those that were good at alchemy endured their injuries. Teams of cultivators from Sichu Nan's group guarded them as they flew off into the other 3 empty star systems to look for herbs. They wanted to refine pills to help everyone recover faster. Everything seemed to quiet down, and these tens of thousands of cultivators began to recover. However, they didn't relax, as this war was not over. At this moment, the 4th ray of light flew out toward where Wang Lin disappeared. There was another woman inside this ray of light. This was the arcane void cultivator from the summoned river, the woman in purple. She had a mysterious origin, and aside from a few select people in the inner realm, no one else knew her identity. However, her actions in this war had earned everyone's respect. 30 years ago, her little sister died in battle. She was also a very quiet person, and since then, she hadn't said a word. Those in the inner realm settled down and silently lived out these 3 years. Wang Lin pushed the giant, 3-essence will toward the cloud sea while exhausted. The gap in the realm ceiling formation in the cloud sea was the biggest hidden danger in these 3 years. If he wanted the inner realm to have 3 years of time to recover, not only would it need to be sealed, but Wang Lin would have guarded that place by himself for more than 1,000 days and nights. He actually didn't need to do this. He could actually deceive himself and find a place to live until he died of old age. However, he couldn't and didn't want to. As he moved forward, howling sounds echoed across the stars. This howling came from his giant, 3-essence wheel. The light in Wang Lin's eyes covered his exhaustion as he pushed the wheel forward. Soon, he arrived at the border of the cloud sea. He took a step forward and quickly moved into the cloud sea. The fog that used to shroud in the cloud sea had long disappeared, making this star system extremely clear. The smell of blood filled the star system, and the collapsed continents were in ruin. Wang Lin pushed the giant wheel through the ruined cloud sea. Soon, the first battlefield in the cloud sea appeared before him. This was one of the few places where the fog remained. However, when Wang Lin arrived, a roar and a gust of wind came from the wheel. This wind caused the fog around the hole in the realm ceiling formation to move, and it soon dissipated. The dense fog before Wang Lin was gone and the 10,000-foot hole appeared clearly before his eyes. This hole was like a scar, and in the past 100 years, it had been unable to heal. Inner realm cultivators had tried to repair this, but in the end, they all left in disappointment. This hole couldn't be repaired because during the war, the realm ceiling formation was on the verge of collapse. It was unknown who had created the realm ceiling formation. Over the countless years, after being attacked over and then having hole for almost 100 years, it had grown weak, as if it were dying. Standing before the hole, Wang Lin silently pondered. He looked at the realm ceiling formation and swept it with his divine sense. He could feel the formation spirits inside, but even they were weak. It was as if weakening of the realm ceiling formation was going to cause them to dissipate. This formation is dead, Wang Lin lamented. He turned around and looked at the space before him. A ray of purple light carrying the aura of a third-step cultivator flew toward him. This purple light was the last person to leave but the first person to catch up to Wang Lin. The female cultivator from the summoned river. Standing at the gap in the realm ceiling formation, Wang Lin looked at the female cultivator from the summoned river. The cold woman stopped 100 feet away from him. She was very beautiful, although she was inferior to Mu Bingmai, she was still quite stunning. As she stood there, her purple dress fluttered, making her look like a celestial. Her pale face added more points to her appearance. It gave people a weak yet determined feeling. The woman in purple and Wang Lin looked at each other. After a long time, the woman said in a cold voice, "Zixia." As if she hadn't spoken in a long time, her voice seemed a bit raw. "Could you be the lightning celestial realm's celestial emperor Zixia?" Wang Lin had vaguely guessed the woman's identity. He clasped his hands at her. Zixiong pondered for a bit and then coldly said, "Hand over the celestial imperial concubine you have sealed." Wang Lin's expression remained calm, but his eyes shined indiscernibly. His eyes narrowed as he looked at the woman in purple and coldness began to appear. "What is your ranking as the celestial sovereign's concubine?" Wang Lin's words were shocking. The woman in purple's eyes narrowed as she coldly looked at Wang Lin. After a long time, she slowly said, "The celestial sovereign's 8th concubine, Zixia." His expression remaining calm, Wang Lin slowly asked, "Which celestial imperial concubine did I kill?" "You killed the 2nd concubine, and the one you sealed is the 5th concubine. The one that escaped was the 6th concubine." Zixia's voice no longer felt raw, it was now a lot smoother, but the coldness hadn't decreased. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had met a majority of the 8 celestial imperial concubines. At this moment, their figures took shape in his head. The 4th concubine was the one that tried to control Torsen and was trapped in the ancient tomb, unable to escape. The 3rd concubine was the cold woman who had interacted with Wang Lin and was released from the ancient tomb by him. She didn't participate in the war against the inner realm. As for the second concubine, she had the most connections with the outer realm. From clues he had obtained from her words, she seemed to have some cooperation with the sovereign, but she ended up dying by his hand. There was also the fifth concubine that was sealed inside Wang Lin's emperor furnace and couldn't be completely refined. If what Zixia said was correct, the one that escaped was the sixth concubine. As a result, there were only 2 out of the 8 concubines Wang Lin hadn't met. These 2 were the first and 7th concubines. In the rift in the Cloud Sea, that woman who has an agreement with me is also likely a celestial imperial concubine. I just don't know if she is the 1st or 7th concubine. A thought flashed through Wang Lin's mind. The 5th sister you have sealed has great value to me. Give her to me. Zixia's cold was filled with an indisputable intent. It was obvious that she was used to having high status even back on the immortal astral continent, so she subconsciously spoke like this. Wang Lin frowned. Seeing that she had helped the inner realm so much, he pondered for a bit and was ready to hand the 5th concubine over. However, just at this moment, the woman in purple spoke once more. Also, you need to go to the outer realm and capture all the other concubines. Bring them to me, I have great use for them. You should do this as soon as possible. As for guarding this place for 3 years, it is really pointless once the celestial, the woman's voice was indifferent and she was speaking in a commanding tone. However, before she finished speaking, Wang Lin frowned and his eyes lit up. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. He looked at Zixia, who was giving orders, and coldly said, "Enough. Your request is too much." "Nonsense. Who are you to speak to me like this? Aren't you doing all this in order to awaken the celestial sovereign and obtain a great fortune? You do what I tell you to do. Once the matter is done, I'll naturally report what you have done to the celestial sovereign." Zixia's phoenix-like eyes stared at Wang Lin and her expression became gloomy. Wang Lin was startled for a moment as he looked at Zixia, then he started laughing. As he laughed, his eyes became cold. "So it's like this. Not all of the celestial sovereign's 8 concubines betrayed him. There is still you, the 8th concubine, who is royal. But forget your request to capture the other concubines, I won't even give you the 5th concubine." Wang Lin waved his sleeves and sneered. Zixia's eyes also narrowed after hearing Wang Lin's words. She vaguely felt like she had guessed something wrong. She didn't know much about Wang Lin, she only knew that he was the previous Lord of the Sealed Realm's disciple. She also knew that Wang Lin had done a lot for the inner realm, like the previous battle and slaughter. In her eyes, Wang Lin did all of this because of the title of Lord of the Sealed Realm. The previous Lord of the Sealed Realm should have informed Wang Lin of everything. Wang Lin should have been someone who belonged to the Celestial Sovereign. Therefore, she had come to Wang Lin and issued that series of orders even after he showed power that shocked her. She had never thought that he would refuse. After all, she was a concubine of the Celestial Sovereign, and their goal was the same, to awaken the Celestial Sovereign. Once the Celestial Sovereign awakened, both of them would obtain great benefits. However, Wang Lin's laughter and rejection immediately caused Zixia to become sober. She retreated a few steps as she looked at Wang Lin and suddenly said, "The previous Lord of the Sealed Realm didn't tell you about his mission and where he came from." "Immortal Astral Continent, 7 Dao Sect." "Of course I know this." Wang Lin coldly looked at Zixia. If not for the fact that she had done much for the inner realm, even though it was for her own purpose, he would have already knocked away this woman who was way over her head. After he spoke, Zixia's expression changed greatly. She subconsciously retreated more than 100 feet and revealed a shocked expression. "I know everything. You can leave, and don't appear before me again." Wang Lin's words were cold as he looked at the woman in purple and waved his sleeves. The woman in purple was deathly pale and retreated a few steps. Her expression constantly changed. Finally, she stared at Wang Lin and clenched her teeth. "Since you know all of this, why don't you join forces with me? We can team up and awaken the Celestial Sovereign. Once the Celestial Sovereign awakens, he will gift us a great fortune. The Celestial Sovereign is considered powerful even on the immortal astral continent. Once he awakens, I can request him to accept you as a disciple and you can leave this cave, become a 7 Dao sect member, and obtain the identity of an immortal astral continent cultivator. The immortal astral continent is the real world. It is tens of thousands of times bigger than the cave world and much better. Only we will get the credit. The celestial sovereign will grant you a powerful cultivation so you will have a place on the immortal astral continent. You will even gain a small amount of fame there. That place is the real celestial realm. Even your cultivation level will increase a lot. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he blandly looked at the woman in purple. Her words hadn't moved him at all. Can the 7-colored celestial sovereign and his Dao partner compare to the 9 sons of the immortal astral continent? One of the powerhouses of the immortal astral continent. What a joke! He is merely an overlord of his area. Even your 7 Dao sect is only a small sect on the immortal astral continent. I fear you have other intents in awakening him. You actually know about the 9 sons. Zixie's expression changed and her eyes became filled with disbelief. Her eyes suddenly narrowed as she thought about how Wang Lin had drawn the Li Guang bow and what the sovereign had roared. Scram for me. If not for the fact that you have done so much for the inner realm, I would have killed you simply for being a 7 Dao sect member. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and killing intent landed in the eyes of the woman in purple. The woman in purple rumbled and her expression changed. She quickly retreated and no longer spoke. She turned into a ray of purple light and quickly left. The 7-colored celestial sovereign, I'll find a way to revive him. However, it's not for a fortune but to kill him. Kill him and this cave will have no master. Then I'll take the heavenly Dao and take the people in the cave to the immortal astral continent. I have been a heaven-defying cultivator all my life. If I'm going to do this, this is the way it will be done. How could I become someone's dog to beg them for survival, to beg them to take me out of here? Even if I don't leave and end up being killed the celestial sovereign, I'll still be a man who walked against the heavens. Wang Lin smiled. He didn't say these words out loud, but they echoed in his heart. Her gaze looked at where the woman in purple went and didn't even ask other about the heaven-avoiding coffin. He didn't need to ask. If he could leave here and enter the immortal astral continent, he would know everything, even the method to revive Wana. However, if he failed, there was no need to ask. To die with Wana would be the best he could do at that point. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and turned around. He looked at the dying realm ceiling formation and his eyes lit up. He walked up and closed in on the web-like formation. He sat down and closed his eyes. His cultivation activated and he began to absorb energy from the world. As Wang Lin cultivated, the origin energy in the cloud sea came in from all directions. The origin energy circulated through his own body and was absorbed by this origin soul and flesh, helping his ancient god body recover. At the same time, Wang Lin's right hand reached out and he extracted balls of light with his karma print. He crushed them and inhaled the essence power inside. This essence power entered his 6 essences and allowed them to slowly start up again. After reaching the 3rd step, origin energy could only help his ancient god power recover faster, it didn't help his cultivation at all. At the 3rd step, there was only one thing that could be used to improve and heal cultivators, essence. Time passed. Several hours later, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened, revealing a shocking pressure. Since the realm ceiling formation is dead, then I'll destroy it completely. Then I'll use my cultivation to rebuild the formation. This video will end here.